Saying on this show now for more than a year that Trump will likely win in a landslide, but that the deep state will never allow him to be inaugurated as president of the United States on January 20th. The CIA will not allow it. The very same group of people, of course, who doesn't want him to become president because he's going to defund them largely and put them out of business. And now we're hearing from the deep state that the deep state is preparing for martial law in the United States in order to prevent Trump from becoming president. He'll win the election, clearly, by a landslide. It's seemingly was what's about to happen. But January 20th rolls around. This is how you can keep Congress from getting him into the presidency. They're already setting ballot boxes on fire in Oregon, Washington State, in the swing districts where Trump is polling very, very strong. Overnight, Clark County, Washington, had another ballot box set on fire. This in addition to the ones in Vancouver, Washington, and in Oregon. This is the United States of America. You look at this, you'd be like, oh, that's probably happening in some third world country right now. No, that's the United States of America. Setting ballot boxes on fire in swing areas where Trump is polling really well and doing really well. This is the tolerance, right? This is the tolerance we talk about. Hundreds of ballots up in flames. These areas that were hit in blue states are currently polling very well for Trump. They are swing counties.
This is why Clayton and I today were like, we have our ballots. We're like, are we going to mail these? Or are we going to go in?
No, we're going in physically.
Yeah, because
and we want to
I don't trust it. Yeah.
I know.
Let us know what your plan is. If you've already mailed it, how do you feel about that? Because, well, two things. One, I want a sticker to wear around all day. Right. And then also, I just don't trust it putting that ballot in the mail anymore. Let me know how you feel about that.
So one way or another, they're trying to stop him right now. Either it's burning the ballots or something else. This is why we just said, we're going on election day to the polling location, voting in person. I mean, you guys do you. I mean, it's up to you. And I'm certainly they're pushing it over. I think the numbers overnight are about 45 million Americans have already voted. 45 million Americans have already voted. And they thought their ballots would be safe. Mm-hmm. They drop them in these ballot boxes. They're like, I'm doing my good for the country. Until you see the local news and you're like, wait a second, that's the exact ballot box that I dropped mine off in.
Right.
And they're all up in flames now.
Yeah.
Chad MC says, I'm voting in person. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys are planning to doing. Meanwhile, deep state whistleblower, former State Department cyber expert Mike Benz is warning that they will not let Trump move back into the Oval Office, even if he wins in a landslide. Watch.
So is your sense that on, say, January 20th, if Trump does win clearly in the election, is your sense that on January 20th, Trump will be inaugurated or no?
This period between November 5th and January 6th is going to be extremely intense. If Trump wins, my sense is that you will see street paramilitary, left-wing / never Trump, right even potentially. You're going to see this sort of summer 2020 style riot force start to break out on the streets. The media is going to portray them as pro-democracy groups who are protesting the illegitimacy of the Trump Electoral College victory. So that's going to shut down the country. It's going to start terrorizing people. It's going to start preventing people from being able to communicate. You're going to see pressure put on the social media companies, extreme pressure put on by the Justice Department, put on by the advertiser networks. You're going to see this crisis response. It's going to feel like this country is, it's going to feel like the day after January 6th for 2 months if Trump does indeed win the Electoral College, in order for them to prime the pump for their extraordinary actions on January 6th.
Oh, hell.
I mean, Mike Benz, further elucidating this point, says those astroturfed, race-based street protests will be framed as organic. Wow, they just came out of nowhere. They'll be spontaneous pro-democracy demonstrations, just as for all of our CIA-backed rent-a riots are abroad. The media will inflate this frame, and it will give cover for Congress to block Trump's win on January 6th, 2025. and then not be able to take office in late January at the inauguration. Kyle Seraphin, friend of the show Kyle Seraphin, former FBI whistleblower, also saying this today. He said, how interesting about Mike Benz sees the same potential that me and the Suspendables have been talking about in our group chat. Y'all ready for the next couple of months? Now, Kyle's referring to Garrett O'Boyle, these other FBI whistleblowers who came out and had their lives ruined after they blew the whistle on how corrupt the FBI is. Garrett O'Boyle specifically, had his life, upended because he told the truth about what the FBI was doing, weaponizing of the DOJ and going after conservatives, going after Catholics and prayer meetings and so forth. So they've already been talking about it. They know what's coming. And now you have confirmation from Mike Benz saying this is exactly what they're planning. And so you can start to see this, right? You can start to see the organic street protests. People are taking to the streets. They're upset that Trump won. They're upset. There's going to be like anti-race. There's going to be these these organic, race-based street protests.
Yeah,
it's terrifying, and you know exactly the game plan. So just be aware of the game plan. This is what they're going to do. Propaganda machine right now. We are at multiple stages of a war. So just a short time ago, the Ukrainians launched using U.S. weapons. Attacked a nuclear power plant inside of Russia. Not inside of Ukraine at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant that was held by Russia. No, this is inside of Russia. Putin has responded. We are watching that. We're also watching Americans trying to get out of Lebanon right now. Over 7,000 Americans trapped in Lebanon. And the United States says, get out now. But there's no flights. How are they going to get out? They're basically trapped as war is increasing and exploding at this hour in southern Lebanon. So watching all of those pieces today.
Plus, the Department of Homeland Security says that terrorists can exploit the open southern border. They don't have a plan to get past it. Also, they say Russia, China, and Iran are going to do bad things to us because of the southern border. They don't prove that.
Right.
They know that it's Mexican drug cartels, but this is basically a war declaration document telling us what the problems are, not that they're going to fix it at all.
Also, we're getting new weird information on two fronts with President Trump. So President Trump warned us all last night that something was coming with Jack Smith, of course, the special counsel, the illegal special counsel prosecutor. Would there be some sort of October surprise? That happened. One judge's decision. And then we have a whole other judge deciding on the trial delay for the assassination attempt on President Trump, Ryan Routh. They say prosecutors have now uncovered a treasure trove of new evidence, and they want a delay because things have just gotten complex. The word complex is their word, not mine. So we're going to talk about that on today's show.
Plus, the far right won the vote in Austria. It's the Austria First Party, the party that actually wants the government to work for them because they have astronomical taxes. But the opposition says, well, we're not going to work with you because we don't want a right-leaning government. So the people voted them in, and yet the other politicians are saying, no, we don't like your politics. We're not playing along. Does that sound familiar? Could that be a template that we see happen across the West? We're going to talk to Ralph Scholhammer about that because he is actually in Austria.
Yeah, get rid of voters. We're hearing this new policy, like in Canada. Our friend David Craden the other day talking about that. So yeah, get rid of voters. We don't need voters anymore. Who are you? You're just in the way. You're just in the way of their agenda right now. So good to see all of you guys.
Reporting here for months that U.S. Special Forces, including active duty military members and non-active duty, are fighting in Ukraine. Has Congress declared war? No. Absolutely not. So then why are there reports overnight of U.S. Army Rangers fighting and dying after crossing the border into Russia and trying to attack Russian targets? It ended exactly how you think it ended because we are not equipped to win a war there. Neither is Ukraine. We should have had peace talks 2 years ago. Alas, here we are with thousands dead. And now American soldiers dead as well. The FSB, which is the security service of Russia, just published photos of a dead Army Ranger from the 75th Ranger Regiment. We can't show you the full body, but this is the Ranger tattoo on one of the Rangers' bodies. How did they get that? How many Americans are being killed fighting in Russia for Ukraine? We don't know, because they won't tell us. And in fact, according to RT, the FSB also showed the weapons and ammunition of these four fighters that were killed, American weapons, even a Canadian flag. So again, why are Americans and Canadians fighting Russians.
Well, to the crisis in Canada right now is Justin Trudeau about to resign. A group of Liberals coming together demanding the resignation of their Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. David Creighton is watching all of this drama unfolding right now. We thought over the past couple of weeks, David, that the pressure campaign was mounting. I didn't realize it would come to this from the Liberal side demanding his resignation. You're watching this moment by moment. What is the very latest on this?
Well, Clayton, we just discovered today that this letter that has been circulating now for 2 weeks has been signed by at least 25 Liberal MPs. The numbers were as high as 50, we were estimating. But it's worse than just 25 MPs. These are the number of MPs who are willing to sign a letter demanding that Justin Trudeau step down immediately as leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada. They want a replacement.
Un bombazo. Rumores apuntan a que Rusia empleó un arma nuclear en Ucrania, pero ¿qué tan ciertos son estos rumores? La incertidumbre recorre como un río de fuego los campos de batalla y también los corazones de los combatientes ucranianos. Las comunicaciones por radio interceptadas llenas de pánico y desesperación dieron inicio a una historia que parece extraída de un escenario apocalíptico. Nos han arrojado una bomba nuclear, gritaban los combatientes ucranianos. La confusión y el temor se extendieron como la misma onda expansiva que creó aquella monstruosa detonación. Al profundizar en el hecho, se supo que la realidad era otra, aunque no menos devastadora. Lo que se descubrió después es que no se trataba de un arma nuclear, sino de una munición de avión altamente explosiva, la FAB-3000, equipada con un módulo de planificación controlado. La FAB-3000 es un viejo conocido de los arsenales rusos, un monstruo de acero que pesa 3.000 kilogramos y cuyo poder destructivo es capaz de arrasar cualquier fortificación en tierra. Su caída sobre las posiciones de las tropas ucranianas provocó una explosión tan violenta y una onda expansiva tan amplia que los ucranianos, en medio del caos, se convencieron de haber sido víctimas de un ataque nuclear.
Bill Gates is hiding something huge, donating $50 million to keep it quiet. What is Bill Gates trying to hide? According to the New York Times, Bill Gates has given Kamala Harris over $50 million. This is unbelievable. This is according to the New York Times. This isn't some fringe conservative conspiracy theory. He confirmed it to the New York Times. After decades of sitting on the sidelines, the New York Times writes, of politics, Bill Gates, one of the richest people in the world, has said privately that he recently donated $50 million to a nonprofit organization that's supporting Kamala Harris, according to 3 people briefed on the matter. The donation was meant to stay under wraps. It was meant to be secret. Mr. Gates, one of the founders of Microsoft, has not publicly endorsed Ms. Harris, and his donation would represent a significant change in the strategy that has previously kept him away from gifts like this. So what is he hiding? Why would he do this? Why would Gates back Kamala Harris? Could it have anything to do with keeping the Epstein client list quiet? Elon Musk told the truth to Tucker. He knows all about this Epstein client list. Watch this.
You know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful.
Will that ever come out, do you think? I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
And Gates.
Didi, actualmente entre rejas, en el centro de detención metropolitano de Brooklyn, ha sido trasladado al hospital en medio de una alarmante crisis de salud. Los fans y los medios de comunicación se preguntan qué le ha pasado al magnate de la música dentro de la cárcel y cuál podría ser la causa de su repentino colapso. La crisis de salud